First at noon, hurricane season is set to start on June 1st, and today NOAA released its forecast on how many tropical cyclones the Central Pacific could see. Chief Meteorologist Jennifer Robbins has the details.
Aloha, everyone. We're at the Central Pacific Hurricane Center, and the hurricane season is just around the corner, starting on June 1st. And we're between an El Nino and La Nina year. And what does that mean for us when we're facing a neutral year? So we have Will Ahui here to talk about the precipitation outlook, which is a big player as we look ahead in months.
Yeah, so precipitation chances, based on the latest outlook, calls for near to above normal chances of rain across Oahu and Kauai, with equal chances of rain across Maui County and below normal chances across the Big Island. So what that means, with the good news for Oahu and Kauai, is we did see a bunch of rain over April, so that's going to help delay the onset of drought and wildfire conditions there. Unfortunately, drought conditions do continue across large portions of Maui County and the Big Island, which will lead to further worsening of drought over there and also increased fire weather conditions.
So it's always important to take that time maybe to clean some of the debris around the house right now, some of that dry brush, because we're still facing drought conditions.
Yes. Maui and Kauai and the Big Island, as we go forward, are looking for drought conditions to persist or potentially intensify as we go through the dry season.
Well, thank you so much, Will. And we have Robert Ballard, and we're talking about hurricane season now. Below average, it's not El Nino, it's not La Nina. So what does that mean for the outlook?
Yeah, it looks like we'll have somewhere between 1 and 4 tropical cyclones, and that includes tropical depressions, tropical storms, and hurricanes somewhere in the basin. That doesn't necessarily mean that all of them will affect Hawaii, so it means that you need to be prepared. Even a below normal season, if we have something that comes right at the islands, we really have to be ready for that, so it's something to keep in mind. And
just to remind folks, how can they prepare now?
Yeah, the best way to prepare now is to start thinking about, do you have your disaster kit? Are you ready for no power, no food, no water for a few days? Do you have that stuff on hand so that you can get through the first part of the disaster and be ready when folks are coming in to help?
All good information, all good reminders as we prepare for hurricane season starting June 1st. So make sure to talk about a plan with you and your family. Reporting from the Central Pacific Hurricane Center, Jennifer Robbins, Hawaii News Now.
Thank you, Jen. And we want to help you prepare for the hurricane season with our 2025 First Alert Hurricane Season 30-minute special. Our First Alert weather team digs into the science behind the storms and gives you the expert advice you need to protect your family. That's June 3rd at 6:30 p.m. on KGMB. We'll also have several other rebroadcasts of the special. Please tune in. We've done a lot of hard work already on this special, and we want to keep you safe, especially ahead of hurricane season. Just taking a look outside right now in our actual weather forecast for today, because hurricane season starts on June 1st. Temperatures around 85 degrees, northeasterly winds around 16 miles per hour. As we get into the early afternoon, we are going to be seeing breezy conditions, some wind speeds between 15 to 20 miles per hour, so a little bit breezy in the warmest part of the day, and then cooling off into the low to mid 70s for low temperatures. Quick look at our First Alert radar and satellite over the last hour or so. All morning long, we were seeing windward showers, and some of them were making their way across the Ko'olau and actually impacting the central portions of Oahu. So Wahiawa saw a few rounds of light sprinkles, and even some of those showers may have made their way over closer to the leeward portions of the island. Just moving in closer to the Ko'olau, you see it's relatively dry across the rest of the state, and some cloud cover over Hawaii Island. I'll give you a further breakdown of this in my full forecast coming up.
Thank you, Drew. The suspected serial road rage driver who is charged with attacking 2 women in Kakaako is still hospitalized after he was beaten up while behind bars. Nathaniel Radamak was supposed to be in court today, but his attorney says he has not been released from the hospital and he doesn't know when his client will be released. The 38-year-old suffered face and torso injuries after he was attacked by inmates in a housing unit at Halawa on Monday. Now, Radamak, who has a record of multiple assaults in California, is facing 3 felony charges for allegedly attacking a woman and her mother on Halikuila Street last Wednesday. He's due in court next week. A 33-year-old suspect is in police custody after he allegedly drove his vehicle into a man after an argument in Nanakuli. Now, it happened just before midnight near the fast stop along Farrington Highway. The 22-year-old victim suffered serious lower body injuries, and the suspect drove away but was later stopped by an officer about half an hour later. Attempted murder charges are pending. Hawaii Island police have arrested John Juan Malik Talia Uli after a violent incident early Monday morning in Hilo. Officers responded to reports that Talia Uli threatened a man with a handgun, then fled the scene. And after a tense, hour-long standoff, police took him into custody and found drugs and a loaded pistol in his vehicle. He now faces multiple charges, including terroristic threatening and drug offenses, with bail set at nearly $200,000. Well, new details on the personal stash of drugs and needles belonging to a Maui doctor accused of attempted murder. It included the same drug that killed Michael Jackson and was allegedly taken from a Maui hospital. Mahealani Richardson has more.
Just 3 days after Gerhard Koenig allegedly tried to kill his wife Ariel by pushing her off an Oahu cliff and inject her with needles, court documents say she contacted Honolulu police after finding the defendant's Nike fanny pack on Maui. HPD photos show the bag contained his Kaiser Permanente ID, several empty syringes and needles, and anesthesia medication, including Diprivan or Propofol.
He took those drugs, including Propofol, away from the workplace, away from the hospital on Maui, and kept them in an unsecured location at his home.
Nothing like that was found on Oahu where this alleged incident took place. You know, that's not unusual that a doctor who practices medicine would have drugs.
Experts say Propofol is a powerful drug used to put patients to sleep during surgeries and other medical procedures. In 2009, pop star Michael Jackson died from an overdose of Propofol.
Guilty of the crime of involuntary manslaughter.
And his doctor was convicted of injecting the lethal dose.
It's not a painkiller, it simply induces deep sedation. It's incredibly dangerous outside of a hospital setting because it can slow or stop your breathing. There's virtually no legitimate reason for a doctor to carry Propofol in their personal bag or car.
A 2023 position statement by the American Association of Nurse Anesthesiology said, quote, Propofol is among the most commonly abused drugs by anesthesia professionals, making up 41% of substance abuse cases, and 18% of anesthesia departments affiliated with an academic program had at least one incident of Propofol abuse.
When a physician is accused of taking drugs from a hospital, internal investigations are immediate.
Law enforcement expert Tom Simon says that includes checking inventory logs, badge access, and dispensing records. Medical regulators are also notified.
This drug is meant for use in a controlled setting, and taking it off-site raises immediate red flags. Possessing Propofol outside of a medical setting could violate hospital policy, state medical board rules, and even DEA expectations. Even if it's not technically a controlled substance, it puts the doctor's license and the public safety at risk.
A statement from Maui Health said in part, he's not employed at Maui Health, but clinical privileges remain suspended. It's conducting an investigation, takes the allegations seriously, and complies with federal and state law regarding controlled substances. Mahealani Richardson, Hawaii News Now.
The city will pay more than $41 million in hazard pay to lifeguards and other frontline employees who continued working at the start of the COVID pandemic. City council members approved the deal during an executive session at the end of April. Honolulu Civil Beat reports over 3,600 employees will each get up to $15,000 or 15% of their pay. It's part of a deal with the Hawaii Government Employees Association that includes previously approved hazard pay for police and firefighters. And only on Hawaii News Now, an exclusive look under the rail construction mess on Dillingham Boulevard. The reason drivers have been putting up with so many blocked roads and detours in Kalihi is because crews are working to relocate overhead utilities about 30 feet below the roadway. Nan Inc. is leading the project, and workers have dug 2 pits on both sides of the Kapalama Canal. And at the bottom, there's a small tunnel filled with conduits where the cables that now run on power poles can be brought down under the canal to make room for the final stage of the guideway construction. Those who work on the project say most drivers aren't aware of the challenges they overcome daily.
This is kind of the most thankless part of what we do because it's the toughest thing we're doing and yet you don't see progress.
We don't always get to have the high profile, nice buildings that everybody can brag about. At the end of the day, nobody will ever remember that Nan and Mitch was digging trenches over here.
Rail managers and contractors say despite the challenges, they are satisfied that this phase is mostly on time and on budget. The utility work on Dillingham Boulevard is scheduled to last about another year. A high-stakes hearing at the U.S. Supreme Court. Justices today appeared torn after hearing arguments on the sweeping injunctions used to block President Trump's restrictions to birthright citizenship. Erica Brown has the details from Washington.
Immigration advocates demonstrated outside of the Supreme Court Thursday morning, while the Trump administration presented its case to the Supreme Court that district court judges should not have the power to issue nationwide injunctions against the president's executive order ending birthright citizenship.
We have our lower courts making snap judgments on the merits that ignore the fundamental principle of the 14th Amendment, that it was about giving citizenship to the children of slaves.
Several justices took the government to task over the order, even though the merits of that case weren't before the Supreme Court.
The president is violating not just one, but by my count, 4 established Supreme Court precedents.
The government argues the lower court rulings only apply to individuals suing, but some liberal justices pressed on how that could create a confusing patchwork of rules and affect what cases reach the Supreme Court.
The government has no incentive to bring this case to the Supreme Court because it's not really losing anything. It's losing a lot of individual cases which still allow it to enforce its EO against the vast majority of people to whom it applies.
But conservative justices appear to be swayed by government arguments that impacted individuals could band together and join a class action lawsuit.
If that mechanism is available, whether one way or another, doesn't that solve a large part of the problem?
A ruling on the case is not expected until late June or early July. Erica Brown, CBS News, the Supreme Court.
Ahead on This Is Now, a disturbing story out of Texas where a mother is accused of helping her son plan a shooting at his middle school. Plus, the ex-girlfriend of Sean Diddy Combs faces intense cross-examination today in the music mogul's sex trafficking trial. Attorneys for Sean Diddy Combs get their first chance to question his former girlfriend, Cassie Ventura, as his sex trafficking and racketeering conspiracy trial enters a fourth day. Bradley Blackburn reports from New York.
Cassie Ventura took the witness stand again Thursday, this time being cross-examined by attorneys for Sean Diddy Combs. The defense began the day presenting romantic text exchanges between the former couple, going back as far as 2007. Combs' attorneys then showed more explicit messages to the jury, which they insist prove Ventura was a willing participant in so-called freak-offs, referring to them in a 2009 email as the next step in their sex life. Over the past 2 days, the prosecution's star witness, who's 8 months pregnant, has detailed physical and sexual abuse she allegedly endured during her 10 years with Combs. Ventura told the court the music mogul coerced her to take part in the drug-fueled sex sessions with hired male prostitutes that took place across the globe, and even raped her in 2018 as their relationship was coming to a close. She broke down in tears as she recounted later going to rehab and trauma therapy in 2023.
From the defense, their job is going to be to distract and attack.
Attorney Judy Saunders specializes in sexual abuse cases.
What the defense will do is that they will say that she may have even willingly used Mr. Combs. They're also going to attack that she stayed and that it was against her will.
Ventura is just the first of at least 3 women expected to testify against Combs, who stands accused of sex trafficking, racketeering, conspiracy, and transportation to engage in prostitution. Combs has denied any wrongdoing in the case. The defense argues that his accusers consented to all sexual activity. Bradley Blackburn, CBS News, New York.
Now to a scary story out of Texas. A mother is charged with providing her son with the means to carry out an attack on his middle school. Both are now facing terrorism charges. Janet Shamlian has more and a warning. The details are disturbing.
Parents at San Antonio's Rhodes Middle School are asking why Ashley Rosalindo Pardo would allegedly provide her son with everything he needed to carry out a potential lethal attack on his classmates.
What kind of mother is she to be supplying her children with that?
The boy, according to police, allegedly showed up at school Monday wearing a mask, camouflage jacket, and tactical pants, all provided by his mother, but then left shortly after. He was later arrested off campus. Police say the boy's grandmother reported him to law enforcement earlier in the day. According to an affidavit, she said she found him on Sunday hitting a live bullet with a hammer. He allegedly told her his mom gave him the ammunition and also bought him tactical gear. Investigators say before leaving for school, the child told his grandmother he was going to be famous. Later that morning, she alleges she searched his room, finding ammunition and an improvised explosive device wrapped with duct tape that referenced the 2019 New Zealand mosque shooting. Police say they've been aware of the boy since January, when school staff caught him with drawings that included a map of the school labeled suicide route. But when investigators questioned his mother, according to the affidavit, she did not feel concern for his behavior, later admitting she purchased her son's supplies, including ammo, in exchange for babysitting his younger siblings. Jail records indicate Pardo was released Tuesday on a bond of $75,000. Janet Shamlian, CBS News.
And stick around. Coming up after the break, we'll break down the outlook from the Central Pacific Hurricane Center, and also take a look at our first alert weather headlines. Thursday, everybody. We're almost to Aloha Friday and the weekend. Let's take another look at the outlook from the National Hurricane Center, the Central Pacific Hurricane Center, since they released their 2025 hurricane outlook this morning. They are forecasting 1 to 4 storms in the Central Pacific that's either forming in or moving into the Central Pacific from the Eastern Pacific. On average, we typically have around 4 to 5. So this could be a near to below normal season. And last year we only had 2. If you remember, Hurricane Hone passed just to the south of Hawaii Island. We were never officially making landfall because the eye of the storm didn't move over the island, but it did cause some impacts to the southern and southeastern portions of the Big Island. What we're tracking going forward, we've got locally breezy trades, a weak disturbance this weekend, and small surf out there. We're really only going to be seeing background energy in our surf forecast until the middle of next week. You can see in our island by island forecast scattered showers and partly sunny conditions for the Garden Isle. East-northeasterlies between 10 to 15 miles per hour, a little bit breezier over portions of Oahu. Some wind gusts getting closer to 20 to 25 miles per hour. 86 in town, 80 in Kaneohe, and 84 in Kapolei. Maui County, sunny and breezy. Of course, we are going to be seeing lighter winds as we go into the weekend. 87 in Kahului, so a little bit toasty out there. Some showers possible in Kihei, keeping Kihei a little bit cooler than the typical 86 to 85 degrees we see for this time of year. Over on the Kona side of Hawaii Island, 84 in Kona, 85 in Captain Cook, and 85 in Waikoloa as well. 83 in Hilo with some showers possible, mostly in the morning, and breezy on the northern portions of Hawaii Island. 77 in Waimea, Honoka'a around 84. And a quick look at our first alert futurecast going forward over the next couple of days. You'll notice a typical trade wind pattern, but we've got a weak disturbance that'll give us a better chance for showers throughout Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. You see a little bit more moisture riding in along the trade winds, and even some southeasterly winds possible by the time we get into this weekend because of that weak disturbance. A quick look at our first alert radar and satellite. Again, not much going on out there right now. We are seeing some cloud cover over the southeastern half of the state, so really over the Big Island. We did see some showers earlier this morning moving in from over the Ko'olau, and relatively quiet over Maui County. Lots of cloud cover over on Hawaii Island, and Kauai has been relatively quiet. I can't rule out a couple of showers up near Honolulu right now because we're seeing a little bit of cloud cover out there. Our surf and shoreline forecast, relatively small on northwest and south facing shores, choppy on east facing shores for this afternoon. Your first alert 7-day forecast, mahalo to Kathy for sending in this background photo. Few showers throughout Friday, Saturday, and Sunday because of that weak disturbance.
Thank you, Drew. Still to come, Casey Lund takes us to the water park where they're debuting their most explosive ride ever. That story in 2 minutes. to give a quick shout out to the local kids who represented Hawaii at the VEX Robotics World Championships in Dallas, Texas. Now, there were teams from Manoa, Kanoilani, and Haleiwa Elementary Schools, St. Louis, Maui Waina Intermediate, and Island Robotics. Now, this is the largest robotics competition in the world with more than 800 teams from 55 different nations competing.
Way to represent. I knew some kids in high school that competed in that in Dallas. It's a big deal.
It's very cool.
Yeah.
All right, Wet n Wild Hawaii is getting ready to debut a major new attraction. It's a 70-foot water slide designed to be the park's tallest, steepest, and fastest yet.
Casey Lund is in Kapolei with a preview of the volcanic wedgie.
Woo! I just came down the volcanic wedgie, and boy, is my wedgie area tired. We are here at Kapolei with Scott Lewis. We just rode the volcanic wedgie, the new attraction here at Wet n Wild. How do we do? I beat you.
Oh man, you smoked me. It was good fun though.
It was good fun, man. When you're up there, you realize, you get a sense of just how high this is, that platform up there. Tell me a little bit about some of the features of this ride. We've been talking about, I've been waiting about this for weeks.
Yeah, so 200 steps, 70 feet tall, all the way to the top. We've got 2 dual body slides, racing slides, completely black on the inside. We got the world's first only Shaka translucent fiberglass. So when you go through, the light relays onto your body, the Shakas, and then we've got some rings and some lasers. It's just amazing when you're inside. If you scream, it vibrates, it echoes your whole body, so it's awesome.
And I mean, we're doing a lot to celebrate this Saturday. Tell me a little bit about what you're doing. You already had a kind of a soft opening for your pass holders, and of course, I'm sure a lot of the employees here tested it out, right? But what's happening Saturday?
Yeah, so we've got a really fun day. We've got dive-in movies, we've got DJs, music, food specials, drink specials, and we open at 10:30, and we're open late till 7 p.m. So the VIP grand opening, full open to the public this Saturday at 10:30. So we're stoked.
Absolutely love it. Well, I want to thank you for having us out here, my friend. Scott Looser, that's the general manager of Wet n Wild Hawaii. If you want to check things out, we have all the details on HawaiiNewsNow.com. Just look for this story on the As Seen on Sunrise.